Hey, how you doing? Today is Thursday, 7 p.m., and welcome to Urban Facts. Um, Today we got a lot to cover. First of all, we'll be interviewing Miss Morgan Hilton. She's one of the teachers down in the Camden School District. She'll be giving us the 411 on the situation with the kids in that district and encouraging words for parents in regards to, better techniques so the teachers can reach them and, in regards to that. Um, the last time we had a show, the last episode, I made an error. So I want to correct that first. I told you guys that the victim from the Roxborough High School shooting was the actual wrong person. So here's the person here. Let's see here. So this is Nicholas Aliza LD. He was the victim, 14-year-old that was gunned down and murdered at Roxborough after a football scrimmage. They currently have suspects in question in regards to this shooting, the actual murder. They have 3 individuals and a prime suspect who would be, let me see here. These are the 3 suspects right here they have. So if you have any information on any of these gentlemen, turn that information over to the police. You can, feel free to contact the foundation and, we can walk you through that. This is a lead they have. It's a primary suspect they have, Dayron Bernie Thornton. He's being sought after in regards to the murder. So if you guys have any information on these 3 gentlemen or Mr. Thornton in regards to Mr. Alizadeh, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, in regards to his murder, please contact the proper authorities so that the family can get some comfort in regards to that situation. And our prayers do go out to the family from the Athlete Zachary Foundation. This is a travesty, to say the least, in regards to a young man who didn't have opportunity to, discover what life was. He is the prime and ripe age of 14, and it was, stolen away by senseless gun violence. So let's have a word of prayer, go right into prayer, then we'll go right into the show. So, Father God, I thank you for this opportunity to come before your people, Lord, and pass forth these words of wisdom to help change lives, Father God, to strengthen our youth and our communities. In your most holy name I pray. Amen. So, this show is brought to you by the Athlete Zachary Foundation. And what we do is we educate and cultivate inner city youth to give them the know-how that they can escape from discrimination, the violence of inner city streets, poverty, and have a more successful future, ahead of them, opposed to, how can I say, a dark one, like the gentleman we just showed you, in regards to the shooting. This is the whole purpose of the youth spotlight, because me as a parent having youth that are in the right direction, I want to show other youth that, hey, there are other people out there doing positive things, and you don't have to just succumb to what you see in everyday street life. You know what I mean? So we bring on individuals that are actually doing something in their life to encourage other youth so that they can see, a glimmer of hope. You know what I mean? So they can see that this person is doing something positive and, actually wants to make change in their life, has made change in their life. They can be an example for you. So this is an article from the Houston Chronicle 2020. Any city schools service diverse student populations, often with immigrant parents living in impoverished neighborhoods. Now, along with those immigrant parents, that's just a low number in Philadelphia. I don't know what the number would be in Houston. So let's just continue on. Teachers in these schools are confronted with a lot of challenges and frequently suffer from the stress as a result. They need to balance the desire to meet the individual needs of their students with being able to find time to care for themselves and manage the stress that they encounter daily as an inner city teacher. I'm sorry. Student inner city schools face poverty, violence, often daily. And that should just say daily. Many of their families are dysfunctional. This results in students who need a great deal of emotional support from their teachers because they live with social problems such as criminal behavior, substance abuse. Learning may become lower priority to them. Inner city students are less likely to complete their homework or come to class prepared with the necessary tools such as books and supplies. This is often a higher student turnover rate in inner city schools because the population tends to go downward. Teachers need to anticipate the students' lack of being prepared and ready to work around it by bringing additional texts and materials to class so the students can use. I said that's an article from Texas 2 years ago. The sad thing about that is that's still relevant in Philadelphia, and I know it's relevant in Camden. The one thing about the inner city is that the character of the people kind of doesn't change. So you have organizations such as myself, well, the one I work for, the Ethel Zachary Foundation, teachers such as Ms. Hilton that want to help these individuals and these families, so that their students can be on the right track. But as I tell people, the schoolhouse is a place where you teach. It's not a place of reform. So these teachers aren't coming there to reform your kids. They're coming there to educate them. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, if a student has some type of behavior problem or emotional need, the teacher can tend to that, but it shouldn't take the majority of the class period to do that. And sometimes those needs need to be handled after class or even after school. You know what I mean? But like I said, just from reading this, the article, some of these students come from dysfunctional homes and they're not taught proper behavior in regards to how to behave properly in school or even in public. The individuals that we just showed you that gunned down that young man at the school scrimmage, that's a perfect example of a dysfunctional home. And these are the individuals that these teachers have to deal with on a regular. Now, can you imagine the type of stress that these teachers are going through, knowing that they have to kind of like walk on eggshells dealing with these students because they may retaliate just because these teachers may care too much or, want them to get their act together and be a more productive student. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of students, teachers, when they get their certification, they leave inner city schools and they go to suburban schools. Because why? Because it's safer. Now I'm not going to say it's totally safe. Because school shootings, in suburban schools, like there are in inner city schools. It seems likely that more of the students, more of the shootings happen in suburban school areas. So I mean, is more likely to happen there also, but it's a less likely probability. So what I'm trying to say is it could happen there too, but the probability of that is low. You know what I mean? So we're going to bring in our guest, and I'm going to introduce to some and present to others Miss Morgan Hilton. Ms. Hilton, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Correct me if I was wrong on any of the information that I was just giving out there. I mean, you're more of a professional in this field than I am. So, I mean, was I on track, or do I need some correction?
Um, I do agree with you that, teachers their initial role is to educate our students. But oftentimes as teachers, we wear many hats. So, one second I might be a teacher, another second it's like I'm a social worker, another second it's like I'm a mother to some kids, or, whatever the case may be. So it's a little different every day. Of course, teaching is the main responsibility, in educating our students, but different students have different needs. And so, you got to kind of roll with the punches and give each student what they need within that exact moment. So sometimes, like I said, you're teaching, sometimes you're, acting like a mom to a student, sometimes you're acting like a social worker, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. So
So, were you raised in the inner city in Camden,
Um,
New
no,
Jersey?
I was not. I was not. Born in Delaware, raised in Jersey. Both like when I was in Delaware and New Jersey.
Right.
Both lived in the suburbs, went to college in the suburbs. So I was not raised in the inner city.
So, what prompted you to, choose a career in education and choose to be a inner city teacher?
So from a young age, I've always, had really good teachers. My kindergarten teacher actually inspired me to pursue a career in education.
You said
Just
kindergarten.
yeah,
Kindergarten teacher. Oh no.
yeah. Um, just and it's crazy because kindergarten is such a young age, but just
Right.
the impact she had on me from a young age. Very loving, very caring, just a positive role model for me.
Hmm.
So, you know, just her impact, it just left a lasting impression on me, to want to pursue a career in education and be the person she was to me for, my students now and students that I'll have in the future. So that's what kind of like made me want to be a teacher. As far as working in inner city, um, just wanting to teach and be around kids that look like me, and
Right.
watching them, grow up and change the world. Education is very important to me. I believe it is very powerful, very important. And so oftentimes kids in the inner city are often overlooked because of where they come from, which is, very unfortunate. And doesn't make sense to me at all how we judge kids just based off of where they come from. And so, that kind of sparked me to want to work in inner city. And I have been for the past couple years, working in Camden actually, which is
Mhm.
even, motivated me much more to continue that drive and that desire to want to work with kids that look like me and see them, become the leaders in their community, become leaders, in this country, in our world. So
Right.
that's what kind of seared this choice, and inspired that.
So let me ask you, being a 20, 21, and 22 graduate who had to do the transition from online learning, do you feel that this impeded the education of the youth?
I definitely do believe that it did play a part in our kids and definitely impeded them. So learning is all about experience. And so when I say that, I mean kids are very visual learners. They learn by hands-on things. They learn through discussion and through social interactions. And so what happened and when COVID hit, kids were forced to be behind a screen. Their social interactions were limited. Those hands-on experiences that they need to help them learn, and to have those aha moments and drawing those conclusions and having those big ideas and understandings and critical skills, they were kind of taken away from them, because like I said, they were put behind a screen. And then depending on their teacher, depending on what the school district had decided, some students were just given busy work a lot of times. And so they missed out on those opportunities to have, critical skills that are going to help them later on in life. So a lot of skills, a lot of kids, I should say, didn't get that foundation in reading, for example. And I'm starting to actually have to deal with this in my class now. And a lot of our kids are way below grade level and where they need to be. I teach third grade. And so we still have kids that are reading on a first grade level. Some kids are, reading on a kindergarten level. And these aren't even kids that are English language learners. These are, kids that were born right here in America. And it's just, COVID kind of hurted them and kind of impacted them in that way. We have, kids that are struggling with math. Just because they didn't have those foundational, counting skills, or, they don't have the foundational skills for addition or subtraction. So I feel like, I teach third grade, but really I'm teaching first grade because our kids are 2 years behind, especially my kids. When they, when COVID first hit, they were in kindergarten. And that is very important. That's, the foundation to their education.
Right.
So as a teacher, as a third grade teacher, especially, I am seeing, those discrepancies, where, kids that were in third grade years and years ago, or even kindergarten, they had those experiences that my students unfortunately did not get.
Well, I know from when I was in school, well, even probably still today, a lot of parents don't opt to put their children in kindergarten. I don't know what the regulation is in Camden. So the kids kind of start off in first grade. Did my kids start off in kindergarten? No, I don't even think. I think with my children, their mom was in education, so the fundamentals that they would have learned in kindergarten, she taught them that at home. Um, and you'd be surprised how something as simple that you would think like well, it's not that simple. Something as basic as you would think that like kindergarten can impede a child from just transitioning into first grade, because a lot of these parents, I don't want to say a lot, some of the parents don't work with the children at home to prepare them for first grade. I know when I was in first grade myself, I couldn't even spell my first name. So um the first the first situation with that, the teacher gave me my paper, and you asked to put your name on your paper and everything, and I would just be sitting there like like, well, what's wrong? Like, well, I don't know how to spell my name. Well, she kind of figured it out, like teachers know, like, like what's happening. Obviously,
Yeah.
you must don't know how to spell it. So she would write my name on the paper before she gave it to me. You know what I mean? And as the school year ended, she asked my mom, she said he can go to second grade, but it would be better if he didn't. And he repeated first grade so that we know he has like a solid foundation. And that's not happening like with a lot of kids. I don't even think that some of the schools aren't even asking that because of the behavior of the kids. And sometimes it's so sad because you can have kids just bad in first grade and they don't care if they got it or not. They just want them out the grade, to go to second grade or whatever like that. So tell me about your kindergarten teacher. I would assume that would be the person, you said that's the person that inspired you to your career choice.
Yeah. So my kindergarten teacher, It's funny because when I was in preschool, my mom actually worked at my school. And so I had her like as a preschool teacher. And she actually kicked me out of her class like mid-year. Just because like of course she's my mom, so I thought she should pick on me for every question. Um, and so, just because like the distractions and disruptions I was causing, my kindergarten teacher, who was next door, she was not my teacher at the time, but she volunteered to, kind of take me in, and she was like, okay, like, she can come in my classroom and just send her work over there and like I'll take her.
Right,
So she did that. And like in her class, not saying like in my mom's class I didn't feel loved or, valued, but like she just really, paid attention to me. And um she challenged me. So she saw that I was getting, my preschool work done. So she was like, oh, okay. Like I see that she's even trying to do the kindergarten work. And so even outside of school, she took the time to just get to know me and build that relationship. And that just her love, her care, just seeing me as a person first and not just her student. That really inspired me to kind of be that for my students. Like, yes, they are students, and yes, they are scholars, but they're also kids first and people first at the end of the day. And, I saw at the time, kids are not going to learn from people they don't like.
right,
They don't like you. You get up in front of the classroom, everything you say goes out, in one ear, out the other.
mm,
And so she really showed me, what it means to truly, truly, truly be a teacher and care for your students. And so through that and what I felt in her classroom is what I try to translate across all classrooms that I walk in,
right,
whether I was student teaching, whether it's a classroom of my own now. I feel like every kid should have just one adult that feels crazy and, passionate about them, and inspires them, whether inside the classroom, outside the classroom, as a leader, as, just a person. And so that's kind of what inspired me to be an educator, just seeing her do that for me and wanting to do it for other kids.
and you had that mindset from pre-K to graduating college. Nothing just
Yeah, like it
deterred you
just
from that.
yeah, just it left like just a big impact on me. And like I know you never forget, how people make you feel.
Right,
And so even as young as if I can remember that in kindergarten, then imagine what my third graders, are remembering now.
right,
Um,
right, right,
so yeah.
right. The teachers definitely have. Well, see, it's kind of hard because you 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 want the parents to be involved with the children. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if they don't have that involvement with the kids, then it's harder for the teachers to get the connection like you had with the preschool teacher. You understand? And that's key because your mom knew that um she has to like mold this person into someone with good character. And even though you was disruptive in her class, it wasn't a problem for you to go to the next class. For some other children that might have been a big problem, because you actually separating the child from their mom. And even with some situations, if you got the wrong person in that position as the teacher, they might not even be humble enough to do that, to actually have the child go to a different classroom to to separate the disruption from the other kids. So you really gotta give your mom kudos for that, because not only was she looking out for your best interest, she was looking out for the best interest in other people's children also. And that's
Yeah.
very important. So, like I said, to even have that connection with a teacher, the child has to be well disciplined to even realize that a connection is even trying to be made. So I commend you on that, and for even hearing, or just visualizing that you still wanted to be an educator from that experience until you graduated college was a very big thing. So what advice would you give parents in regards to inner city children about the importance of their education?
I think you kind of already touched on it. Just, to be invested in your child's education. And I know that's easier said than done, right? Because parents, there are, of course, many reasons why some parents just cannot, be as invested as they would like. Work, just other responsibilities, whatever the case may be. Um, but, just being invested, even if that's as simple as, checking their homework, attending, a family night at school, or just, going to a parent teacher conference. Just finding ways to be invested in your child's education. Because like I said, education is very important and it's very powerful. So at school, it's our job, like you said, to educate our students. And so we are providing our kids with those, critical skills that they need to function in today's age and society. And so also education is transformative, right? We can use these same skills that we're learning and teaching our kids to transform our world and to make it a better place. And so as parents, if you can kind of see that, how important, how valuable an education is, then it will help a lot when you're trying to become invested in your child's education. So it can be something as simple as just, how was your day at school today? Having a conversation, asking them what they learned, looking over their homework. Like I said, attending any school nights, whatever the case may be, just doing something to, have a part and play a part in your child's education and that academic success.
Right.
Even contacting the teacher. I try to make it my best effort to
Mhm.
contact, 3 to 5 families a week. And so many parents, like a simple text throughout the day, you would not believe how far that goes, So just, or even just reaching out, hey, did so and so have homework? Hey, just wanted to check in. How are they doing in school today? That goes a long way. So if that says, all you can do, just sending a text to your child's teacher, then so be it. But just, finding some sort of way to be invested in your child's education.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Um, so what would you say is the hardest thing for teachers today, in regards to teaching in inner city schools?
I think one of the biggest challenges today, is definitely behavior. You know, a lot of times in inner city, kids are coming from just traumatic backgrounds. And so because of that, it could play a part in their behavior. I have a lot of students in my class who come from just traumatic backgrounds. And so the way that they respond to things or the way that they act out can be due to that. And so as a teacher, it's really important that you get to understand your students and build relationships with them so that you can know things that trigger them. You can know why they're acting out or why they do the things that they do. So I feel like behavior is definitely one of the most challenging um, parts about being a teacher in today's day and age. Just because, like I said, especially in inner city, there's a lot of trauma that these kids are faced with. We have students at our school, for example, that are just 7 and 8 year olds that have seen their parents die right before their eyes. We have kids that I have a student this year who lost everything in a house fire and had to live with a friend, and the friend kicked him out. So these kids, they're coming to school with like 10 other things on their mind. And so when they act out, and I always tell myself, it's nothing personal. Um, they are dealing with something that happened before they even got to school. And
Right.
them doing this is because it could be because they don't know how to deal with what's going on at home. It could
Mhm.
be because they're frustrated with whatever, they have going on.
Right.
So I feel like behavior is definitely a challenge just because of all the things that our kids are faced with.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's obviously it's a time gap between, when you started school to myself, but the one thing that's constant is children with behavior issues, and you can, like I tell my kids, like you can spot a kid and you'll say, well, child, and you'll say, hey, I can see that person, graduating college or something like that, starting a business or being a teacher, like your preschool teacher. And you can also see a kid and you would just wonder if they're going to graduate high school or even if they're going to make high school. And it's sad because, like, when I was in school, that would be something that you would see in high school. You
Mhm.
see somebody, you can say, hey, I can see you going to college. The sad part about the day is that we seeing that now in your type of classroom, in your class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So these parents really have to, buckle down and realize that, you know, their kids need a future, better than the ones that they have, or with their current status. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if you don't want something better for your child, then there's no telling which direction that child may go in. You know what I mean? Now, just with a simple choice of your mom having you go to a different classroom made you a teacher. Now, let's just say if that never happened, you could have been, I mean, I'm sure you could have been anything, any
Mhm.
type of other profession. But because of that simple move that your mom made, which was critical, and you becoming a teacher in regards to trying to help inner city kids, you know what I mean? So everything that we do with these children is critical, from moving them to classrooms to, like you said, helping them with homework, simple things like how was your day going? It's all critical, and it has to be implemented. Like parents, you really have to, you know, be your kid's backbone. You know what I mean? Like we got Miss Hilton on here, and before the show started, we do the advertisements through Facebook and stuff like that. And her mom was, sharing the flyer and inviting friends and all kinds of stuff, because that's what parents do. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to say that I'm sure she wouldn't have cared if it didn't happen, but it wouldn't have been no sweat off her back, because that's the type of relationship she had since when they were small. You have to initialize this relationship. You have to put your children first. And it's okay to be last or second or whatever, but your kids got to be ahead of you, because if they in back of you, you can't see what they doing. And another thing is that anytime you see, some cheerleaders or whatever like that, they're always in the back of the team. They might come out to the court, but the court is like, it's two sides. So you got one team on one side and the other team on the other side. You know what I mean? So these cheerleaders are in the back of these people, depending on how what your positioning is, so that they're cheering these people on. Even when they out there playing the game, they can't run out to the court and say, "Hey, LeBron, great game!" Like, and flash a little pom pom in there. You disrupting the game, and that's what some of the parents doing. Y'all disrupting the game. You know what I mean? You got to cheer from behind so the kids can make the easy transition into their life. And you got to be a better cheerleader, some of y'all. You know what I mean? So you can have children like Miss Hilton, and your children can become lawyers or doctors or teachers, or you just have to make a way. And like I just now said, this young lady became a teacher from a simple classroom change. Now I'm sure she could have became any profession she wanted to, but the mom did what she had to do, and we have her here on the show now. Encouraging you guys. I'm not trying to make any parents feel bad, or this goes off and y'all be like, well, she wasn't nobody. Like that's not the case. We put these people on here so y'all can see examples like right in your face, because I know y'all tired of seeing mine. So y'all can see different people, and y'all can say, hey, if she can become a teacher, then maybe my daughter can become a teacher. And everybody doesn't, she grew up in a suburban area. Everybody doesn't grow up in a suburban area. We do have people that we interview that came from the inner city. You know what I mean? So, just put your parenting skills up just a little notch more. You know what I mean? So you can encourage your kids on, being something more positive for them. So Miss Hilton, one last question. With the dichotomy between the inner city schools and the suburban schools, what would you say is the difference why the suburban schools are ahead of the inner city schools?
Um, I think there's a lot of reasons why. Something that I've noticed, just like in my first year of teaching, but also like student teaching, and just working inner city. Um, and it's not even the kids because they like my students, like I said, a lot of times people will judge kids that come from, Camden or come from Philly or just enter any city just because of where they come from. Which, like I said, does not make sense to me at all. Um, these kids, they're just as creative, they're just as intelligent, they're just as talented and gifted as kids in the suburbs. I think a lot of times, like you said, it could have to do with high teacher turnover rates, not having those positive role models and positive influences in their life, a consistency, if you will. Um, Curriculum has a lot to do with it. I know sometimes in inner city schools, the curriculum that is at hand that the students are using is not, necessarily the best. Um, just like in the suburbs they might have a better curriculum, so that could also be an issue where that discrepancy comes into play. Funding is another one. Our kids sometimes don't have the resources that they need to be successful, versus if you were to go to a classroom in the suburbs, they have an abundance of resources to help their children set them up for success. So there's a bunch of play policies, rules, things like that, and what our kids are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, what teachers are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, that could also come into play. So I think also parent involvement could be, another reason, having those critical and those conversations at home um, to help your child, in school, and to help them succeed with their education. So
Right.
there's a lot of factors, I feel like, when it comes to why there's such a discrepancy between inner city schools and suburbs.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, we definitely wanted. Well, I definitely wanted you on. And one of the staff members knows your family personally, so they brought you on. But I just wanted you as a new teacher to have these parents and other teachers. Hopefully, it's other teachers out here watching this to know that hey, this starts at home. Just like with you. You know what I mean? Your mom molded and transformed you into, the person that you are today. You know what I mean? The same with me. Well, sometimes it doesn't really like kind of work out like that. I mean, I wish I could say the same thing, but along life's journey, you run into different people and they help you shape you into the person that you are. But I'm sure you are a very encouraging word to these people out here, to the parents, and even to students. And I must commend you on the excellent job that you are doing. And I'm sure that you could have had the opportunity to teach anywhere, but your heart was for these kids. I don't want to keep waking up and seeing tragic stories on the news about kids being killed by kids, because it ain't just happening in Philly. It happened in Camden too, and in
Yeah.
New Jersey. You know what I mean? Like these kids need a chance to at least become a grown up. They can't even get out of that phase. You know what I mean? They either going to jail or going to a funeral parlor. I mean, it ain't all the kids, but one is too many. So I thank you again. It was a pleasure having you. I hope we can have you again. To give us some more wisdom on this education thing. And you got any last words for us?
No, thank you for having me. Once again, like I said, education, powerful, it's transformative, important. Um, and I love the work that I do, just being an educator and having a positive impact on our youth.
I thank you so much, and I thank you for deciding to really, teach in these inner city schools because they need teachers like you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again, and you have a great evening.
You too.
That was Ms. Morgan Hilton, uh, teacher from Camden School District, And I must say she's doing a wonderful job. I don't work at her job, but just from what she's saying, you know what I mean. Um, it's teachers like that that's really trying to help y'all, to help these children. You know what I mean? And I'm sure she's touching children because a teacher touched her. You know, from, like I said, from preschool, well, pre-K or whatever, kindergarten, before kindergarten, to graduating college. And this young lady's mind, she wanted to be a teacher. It's the influence that we have on these children. Whatever the influence is, that's normally like what the child goes for. So if you have somebody in the house and they got some type of criminal activity going on and your child is paying attention to that, you got to really be careful, because just like I said, that young lady had that thought in her mind from like 5 to, I believe she may be 25 or 26. I'm not sure. But that's a long time. So if you got somebody at your house and they doing something that's regarding crime, that child could be holding that thought from 5 to 25. Matter of fact, one of my staff members was telling me, that's even before she became a staff member, about an individual that she know, and because of the environment of this person, this child was encouraging somebody else to do crime. And I said child, below 10. And it's sad because his outlook and his present situation isn't great. You know what I mean? You got to really be careful about what you're putting in these kids. It's like I tell you, if you put a sponge in black ink, it take a lot of time to get that ink out. You put a sponge in clear water, you still got something going into it, but it's not harming it. You got to make sure what you're putting inside of these children aren't harming your children. Just like those 3 suspects that I put on there. Excuse me, from the shooting from the football field. It's just sad because you shouldn't have 3 individuals under 18 wanted for murder. And you mean whatever this young man did, that it drove you to wait for this person from a football scrimmage game and then take his life. Now you can't return from that. This ain't what's that, Grand Theft Auto? This ain't a video game. You can't turn it off or use some code and your life come back. That don't work like that. And I know them individuals are aware of that. But see, it's like I said, what you putting into these kids is what matters. This is the defining factor for these children. So you may be thinking, well, this is how my mom raised me and my dad. Well, if you messed up as a person, then guess what? Your parenting by your parents wasn't great either. And sometimes you got to come to the realization of that, because I did. You have to realize that, hey, am I a great parent? Was my parents great? Did they teach me the things that I needed to become a child of good character? You know what I mean? It's only then that you can see your child flourish and become something greater than what you are. Not unless you King of England or something like that, then they going for that. But you can't just sit back and just throw your hands up like, Oh, well, that's whatever they do is on them. And it's so sad because that's kind of like the consequences now. Whatever these kids do, it is on them. Because some of the parents, there's no repercussion on the parents anymore, it seems like. I mean, I'm not in these situations with them, and thank God. But it seems like, whatever the crimes that these kids do, the only repercussions that these parents have are losing their children to the criminal justice system or to a funeral home. So please, we just want to help y'all. I mean, we got a parenting group. I'm trying to come up with whatever ideas I can to help y'all. And it is disturbing. You see these kids and they taking the lives of other children. It's very sad. It's very sad. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, and they say, well, you singing the same old tune. Well, change the band leaders then. Change the audience. Maybe my tune to change. I shouldn't care about your kids more than you do. But the reality of it is that it's organizations like myself, like ours, the Ethel Zachary Foundation, and others that care about your children. Some of you, care about your children more than some of some parents out here do, and it's horrible. You shouldn't have kids running out of vans, out of trucks. Like we see stuff on the news, and sometimes I'm confused because I don't even know if I'm watching the news or a movie. And it's y'all kids. So we just want to help y'all. Like I said, we got a parenting group on Facebook. It's ELZ Parenting Forum. Please, if you need the help, we more than willing to help you. You know what I mean? We more than willing to. Because we still want our children to be the future. You know what I mean? And that's hard. They can't be the future if they behind bars. If they 6 feet under. That's hard to do. So, we do have our toy drive coming up soon. So we want you guys, to participate in that. Let me get the information for you. We want to just bless some families out there, with some toys for their children. Everybody won't have the opportunity to, get the toys that their children may want, or even toys, period. So, we got the information on there. Let me see if I can take this thing off of here. There you go. All right. So, if you guys want to donate toys, please email us. Here's the email address right here. So you can email us there. Say, hey, we got some toys we want to donate, and we'll have somebody come to your home. More likely, it'll probably be me. Or you can donate money. If you donate money through Cash App, just put in the subject line toy giveaway, so we know where to apply the funds to. Also, let me see here. That was Morgan. This is this young man's birthday. So we want to wish Mr. Nylon a happy birthday. His birthday was October 5th. He turned 8 years old. So we, at the Ethel Lee Zachary Foundation, we want to just wish you a very happy birthday. I had somebody ask me the other day, say, well, hey, what do the kids get? When you put their picture on there, and they don't get nothing. But when a kid sees that somebody took the time out to recognize them on TV or the internet or whatever, that's all they need. That's all they need is that recognition. I want to recognize these kids in whichever way I can. You know what I mean? Maybe one day we can do something, extra for the children or whatever like that. But for right now, when that young man sees his picture, let me see here. That right there on this screen, he's going to love it. Because I know if I was 8 and somebody was recognizing me at that age and they don't even know me, I'd love it myself. You have to make these kids feel special. And that's all we trying to do. We ain't trying to make you feel bad as a parent. I mean, if you do feel bad as a parent, then hey, do something to change. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of organizations out there that offer classes, in regards to parenting. And I know some people say, hey, it's no book to this. And there's no manual that you get, when you have a baby, and it's not. But there's books out there. You just got to do the research. I want you parents, some of y'all, because some of y'all do a great job. I want you parents to know that your kids could be the next senator. Your kids could be the next Morgan Hilton. Your kids could be the next founder of a nonprofit organization, the next pastor, the next Michael Jordan. They can't do that if they outside acting like an idiot. You understand what I'm saying, T? So we just want you guys to be better in this thing called parenting. The ones that need the help. Because there are ones out there that's doing a phenomenal job. We got moms out there that's dealing with these knucklehead dads. They just, after they had a kid, the dad be out. I mean, it's not funny, but that's just how it goes sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes it may be the fault of the mom, or sometimes the dad did screwy. But it doesn't matter if it's the fault or the mom or anybody, because as a father, you have to be there for your child. And as a mom too. It ain't just the dads just leaving, the moms leave too. It just ain't as many moms as it is dads. You understand what I'm saying? It's moms out there trying to, coming from bad childhoods to have a better life for their kids. It's mothers out there that want the best for their kids, so they work 2-3 jobs, or they go to work and go to school, or they do whatever they need to do to have a better life for their children. You know what I mean? So I just want to thank you guys for coming out and, joining me this evening. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, please feel free to email us at elzfnd@outlook.com. And we're more than welcome. We'll be more than welcome to address any concerns that you may have. We got a mentoring program. We got a program for the youth. We help the community. We also have a domestic violence program. October is Domestic Violence Month. So we're going to try to get somebody on this month in regards to that, to touch on that situation, to put some education out there, for you ladies, so you guys don't get into, these hard situations with these men, or, to even get out of them. You know what I mean? So, but again, thank you guys for coming out, and God bless. Good night.